All right, good morning. This is Vivian Johnson with the Kingdom Concept, and this morning I decided to come out on my patio and bring a little of Costa Rica to you. And we're talking about 10 things that you need to know when buying a home in Costa Rica. And many of you have asked, many of you have DM'd me, and so I put together 10 things. But before I start with that, I want to make sure that you understand why you would want to come to another country. It is not a something that you just wake up and say you're going to do. You have to have grace for this, because many people they do these videos and they talk about Costa Rica, and months later, even a couple of years later, they've moved back to their country or and decided this is not for them. But you have to have an understanding that I am going to something, not running away from something. So for me, I knew I was going to an assignment. I knew I was going to Costa Rica for a reason. So I just want to start by saying that if you're looking to buy in any country for that matter, just make sure you have grace for it. Because if you have grace for it, God will supply everything you need. He'll bring people and resources your way to make sure that you have everything you need. So I had a lot of experiences that were positive and negative in the process, because I'm new. It's the learning curve. You're in a new country and they don't do the same things that they do in America. So the first thing I would say is decide on the type of climate and environment that you want to be in before you're looking at selecting a home. I chose to live in Central Valley because the weather was perfect. Atenas is known for being the best climate in the world. It never gets below 60, and it never gets over 80. The nights are really cool. Most places don't have AC. My place does have AC, but I run it during the day, but I don't run it at night because it gets a little cool. As a matter of fact, there's 26, I think, different climates in the whole country of Costa Rica. So depending on where you are, you could have different microclimates. For me, it's for the whole Costa Rica, there's only two weather systems, seasons, I'll say. It's either rainy season or dry season. I'm in rainy season right now, so everything's lush and plush and beautiful. And that goes from May to November, and then and they really call that their winter. From December to May is considered winter, but it's really just a little cooler, and then it just rains all the time. So you want to know based on the type of weather that you're looking for. If you want to be near the beach, just know that you're going to be hotter. If you want to be closer to the Panama side or the Caribbean side, it has its own different flavor. You want to be near the Guanacaste side, which is closer to Honduras and Nicaragua. Very touristy, very beautiful. And then you have Nasara in what they call the blue region, where, and if you look up blue zones, it's known for people living very long time. And just overall, the atmosphere in Costa Rica is set up that there's a calming effect, and everything's organic, so it's going to put you in a healthier state anyway. So that's number one. Number two is selecting a realtor. Now, realtors are completely different in Costa Rica than America. And I can only speak for America because I know America. But in Costa Rica, they mostly focus on the area that they have or the listings that they have. So I had about 3 different realtors. They don't have the multi-listing. There is Coldwell Banker here, which is in America, but the realtors are not held to the same standards. As a matter of fact, you need a separate attorney to do your actual contracting, do your due diligence, do your title search, do your, set up your inspections and all of that. And I would encourage you to make sure that you have a separate attorney than your realtor. So that's number two. So selecting your realtor and making sure that you have your attorney separate, very, very important, because most of them are trying to sell you their own properties that they have, and they don't have to disclose that. As a matter of fact, when I bought my place, she did not disclose that she owned the property. So I'm talking to her and I'm telling her all, my strategies and things and what I could afford and what I couldn't. And so by the time she didn't tell me until she says, oh, but by the way, when you come to closing, you're going to see the owner is my name. And I'm like, okay, if she was in America, she would have lost her license. That would have been unethical. She would have had to divulge that. And it still worked out for my good. And maybe I'll tell that another time. Number 3, don't trust anybody. That make sure that you know if your realtor actually is a part of the realtor board. Not anybody can be a realtor here. They don't have to go through the same process that they do in America. So there's the gringo price, and there's the Tico or Costa Rican, or Tico and Tica is what they call Costa Rican people in this nation. So the men are called Ticos, the women are called Ticas. And so there is the gringo, they call them gringos here, Americans, they call them gringos, and they have different prices for them. So knowing that and understanding that, you really can probably think about how you're going to bargain in that regard. The fourth thing is setting up a escrow account here. It is similar to America, where you go through a separate entity where they are housing the money that's going to go towards closing. But I would encourage you to keep the escrow open beyond the house buying, so that if you need to open up a bank account or buy a car, because they will do the due diligence of ensuring where the money is coming from. It took like an act of Congress to go through and ensure that the funds that I was transferring to pay for all of this were coming from, they had to trace where that is coming from. And as of April 1st, everything you transfer from international into a Costa Rican bank account has to be verified, like where the funds are coming from. So setting up a bank account can be difficult. If you don't go through that process, your realtor or someone that you know from Costa Rica can help you with setting up your bank account, but you need to have that inside scoop for setting it up. The next thing is, number 5 is, if you are looking to do residency. So residency versus non-residency. In Costa Rica, if you want to be a resident, you have to spend at least $150,000 on your property or some type of property. That can be a combination of your house or condo, and maybe you buy a car, as long as it totals $150,000. So you can get a condo for like $70,000, and get a car for what is that, $60,000 or whatever. Just doing the combination of $100,000 on a property, and then $50,000 on a car, something like that. But as long as the total assets that you buy, that you have equals 150,000, then you can go for residency. And I have an amazing immigration lawyer that I use that if you're interested, I will connect you with them. And for non-residency, you don't have to really worry about the amount. You can get a really nice property for under $100,000 here, especially if you want to get a condo or something like that. Number 6 is utilities and internet and all of your electrical stuff. When you're not a resident, you have to go through a citizen that's here in America. In Costa Rica. My electricity is in my name because I have property. I own this property, so I was able to do that. But my internet is in my realtor's name. My what else? My phone. I kept my phone in America. I got an international plan through T-Mobile, but I did get a SIM card here in Costa Rica, so I have another phone that has a 506 area code for Costa Rica, so that I can make calls locally to folks in Costa Rica. So I have 2 phones, the American International phone number and my Costa Rica number, and you're going to need both because when you're doing business in Costa Rica with the local businesses, they're going to want to have your Costa Rica number so that they can contact you. And number 6 is find someone local. Get to know people in the area. That's going to be your saving grace when coming here. When the first time I came here, I came on vacation and I stayed in an Airbnb, and the property manager, we just clicked and we just got along, and I kept connecting with her. Even now, she's been a resource in telling me what to do, and she's a local. She was born and raised here in Atenas, so it was just perfect. I also got to know other people here as well, and I have an amazing community. My community here in my neighborhood, we get together. We have we have a WhatsApp group. We're always communicating with each other when we need to find out what's going on in Atenas or in the neighborhood, or so very close-knit community. And that was one of the things that I asked God for, was on my requirements is a really good community. Number 7, I think I'm on the right track. Number 7 is HOAs. So here in Costa Rica, they do have HOAs, and those HOA fees can be expensive. And you want to know what that HOA covers. You want to know if you are, if it's higher and expensive each month, because you can have your house paid off, your condo paid off, but then you're spending like a mortgage payment every month or a rent payment just on HOA fees. So you got to know that. That's important. But if it covers quite a few things, then it might make sense. In my housing development, the HOA fees are like $55 or something like that. And I think I pay every quarter about like $130 or something like that. But that includes also not just the HOA fees, it includes my water too, because I have well water. That is another thing. So I'm actually going to add another one. Let me go back to utilities. So there's a difference between staying in a condo or apartment complex versus a single family. They don't regulate. So in your apartment or condo, you may not use a lot of electricity, but your neighbors do, and so you share the utility, the electrical cost across all of your the tenants in that particular housing development, which can be very expensive. And that was another reason why I chose to do a single family as well, because the electrical bill can be expensive if you're having to share it with units. You can kind of control it. You're better when you're by on your own. But in terms of cost, it really kind of weighs out. If I think about the most expensive thing I have in terms of cost of living, it would probably be my electrical bill, and even that's relative. The water bill is very, very cheap. Taxes, I forgot to mention that. So I wanted to add that. Taxes are amazing. So I think I might pay, so this house was $230,000. I think I pay 200 and something, a little over $200 a year for taxes. So it's something like a point something percent, 0.023, something like that percent. Is very, very, very reasonable. Very, very much unlike America. So in America, you can, obviously lose your property if you don't pay your taxes, but the taxes here are quite reasonable. So that's number 8, taxes. Number 9, that brings me to a condo versus a single family. So we talked about electricity in that. I actually think either way, either case, it just depends on what you're looking for. Closer into the city, they have quite a few beautiful condos. I wouldn't shy away from that at all. They're quite beautiful. So you could consider a condo. It just depends on what you want. If you want, because most of the condos, they already have a pool associated with the development in the community. They have common areas. They have most of them have like rancho areas are really just places where they have a grill and seating area, like a picnic area, and they may even have a gym, things like that in it. So the condo setup can be positive. And most of the time they're in your city, so you can you can walk to most of the things that you want to go to, or you use public transportation. Ubers are actually here, and they're much, 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 much cheaper than America. As a matter of fact, when I first came here and I didn't have a car, I used Uber or a personal driver the entire time. And I still call on my personal driver that I have for, if I want to go to the beach or have somebody pick somebody from up the airport. It's just easier. That was number 9. Number 10, renting versus owning. So I would suggest, if you are new to Costa Rica and you're not really sure, you might want to consider renting for a while. That was something that I had considered doing because I didn't know. As a matter of fact, I did that when I moved to Charlotte, because there was such a push with the realtor trying to get me into a certain area, and I'm so glad that I didn't buy in that particular area. But I waited probably 7 or 8 months before I ended up buying in Charlotte. So that was why I was going to do the same thing here, because you just don't know. You don't want to get yourself locked into a location if you don't like it. I just happen to love tennis. I ain't going nowhere. There's a lot of people that move from the city, like Escazú and Santa Ana. That's considered like the Hollywood of Costa Rica. Very modern. It's outside of San Jose. Most Americans will probably, if they want that American modern feel, and you can go there and find housing. The single family, you'll see most of the places like that are not in a gated community. They have gates on the properties, and it almost looks like when you come in like, oh, it's not safe. That's just their preventative measures. I feel very safe here. But in terms of, like, there's no militia here. They got rid of their militia in 1940s. So they do a lot of preventative things. Like when I go to the grocery store, I'll hand, there's a guard, and he'll hand you like a green card, and the before you leave out, you'll just have to hand it back to him, and that's just to make sure that nobody else took your car. The person that came in with your car is the one that leaves with it. So there's different things that they set up for safety and preventative measures. But in terms of going back to the renting versus buying, I think renting is actually a good, wise decision when you think about moving to another place that you haven't been. So, okay, I hope that was helpful. I think that was, there's one more thing that I wish I would have known when I bought. So most of the people in my neighborhood, they have their property and they have a casita. A casita is just a smaller house. In America, we probably would call it an in-law suite. But most of these people's casitas is bigger than my house. And so, but they use it as another rental property on their property. So a lot of people make money right on their property using their casita. Didn't know that. If I knew that, so anybody looking for single family homes, make sure you consider a property that has a casita on it. It can be a gold mine for you in terms of having another rental property right on your property. So you get the best of both worlds, your lovely home plus a casita as a means of income. So if that was helpful, let me know in the comments. Subscribe, because I'm actually going to be looking at some rental properties myself. So I'm going to be taking you through that experience, showing you. I actually have someone that's coming in the next couple of weeks who's going to come because they're considering purchasing in Costa Rica. So I'll show you that as well. So subscribe, like, comment, and and hit the notification bell just to make sure that you hear when I have another video up about living in Costa Rica and living out faith and freedom in Costa Rica. All right, thanks.